It's Jen Hart with Jen Hart Be Awesome, and today is day 29 of my 30-day extravaganza, so to speak, of my 15-minute method to change your life. So thank you so much for being a part of this 30-day grouping of a series, and I'll be doing new things after the 30 days. So be on the lookout, either on Jen Hart Be Awesome on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So, and probably Pinterest. Although if you're anything like me, comment below. Let me know is that if you get lost in Pinterest and you might not come back for days if you kind of join. So, or just kind of get lost in the portal. Okay, so today's day 29. And I, again, wanted to thank you for this journey. I've been on my own professionally since 2015, but I've been doing unprofessional coaching for, I don't know, since I was born. It's been in me, and I've been through many trainings and many of processes and my own life experiences and my own intuition, because I was born an empath and intuitive. So a lot of things, plus my own struggles. And what these 30 days, if you take one day or you take all 30 and you break them up, you can always find them here on Instagram or on my YouTube channel, is that this is for you to start taking back your life in incremental steps, because it can feel very overwhelming if you're in a darker place, or if you're in a place where it just feels like you're like swimming. It's like you can't even catch a breath. There's just so much going on. So 15 minutes can change your life, and 15 minutes can always grow longer. Like I always say in these videos, is that you take as much time as you need, unless it's ruminating. Cut that down. That's the point. And also, if you're and today's topic is literally about how self-loathing and self-pity actually create more of that. Like the more you do something, and that's positive or negative. So it doesn't mean to completely cut off negative emotions, because that's basically cutting off parts of you. And even though you are not your emotions, a lot of your emotions carry a lot of your story that today we're going to change, or at least tomorrow on the 30 day. So, but today we're talking about how to notice what you're feeling. Notice what you're saying to yourself or to other people. And that's why texting and writing is almost beneficial, even though a lot of people say, why don't we use the phone anymore? Well, the good news, to a degree, I mean, there is wonderful place for phone conversation or face-to-face conversation. That's still a wonderful, one of my favorite, especially face-to-face, because you get the real person, generally. But if you are, hi. But if you are, I know that's so distracting. It's distracting to me. But if you are someone that tends to get in cycles of emotional stuff, whether it's self-pity, self-worry, and you might not even call it that, because you're like, I just feel shitty, I just feel miserable, or I just hate myself, or I don't feel worthy. Why did I do that to that person again? Why did I say those things? Why don't I do the right thing? Why don't I do this? And then you stay in that cyclical cycle for a long time. The good news is, and there's always good news here, because I've lived this life where everything I thought in terms of negativity flipped. And it wasn't an overnight thing. I mean, there were parts of it were an overnight like switch, because I decided that I was not going to allow myself to feel shitty all the time. And some of that is a choice. Not all of it, but a good chunk of that is a choice of saying, screw that, I'm not thinking like this way anymore. Because a lot of our thoughts create our reality. And if you've been to any therapist, you know that cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectic behavioral therapy, most therapies work on mind as well as the behavior change. And part of the behavior change is to change the way you think. And the way you change the way you think changes your reality and makes your life so much better once you start doing that in a pattern. And the plus and minus of all of this is the physics of what goes in motion stays in motion, which is not always good. Hi, Tom. I have a little kitty here. What stays in motion usually it's our negative thought patterns, it's our anxieties, it's our worries, it's our thinking that is not serving us or productive. And it doesn't mean you have to be Pollyanna, although Pollyanna had a very happy life. Maybe in the dark a little bit, like, because she was kind of in her own little world. But she had something that some of us didn't have, and that we can practice into. So when I talk about self-loathing, and we're in a cycle of self-loathing or self-hate, and I had that for at least 36 years. Like, I had moments where I didn't have that, obviously, because I had pockets of really healthy, happy times, but there were bigger chunks that were not. And I can say definitively, since 2013, it flipped, because I did the work, and all these steps of these 15-minute methods I've done with my own self as well with clients over the past God knows how many years. Since 2015. So the reason why I keep talking about this is that what you get what you focus on. You get who you are internally. Even if you want something, but you're kind of back and forth with it, you're not very concrete of what you want, you're going to get wishy-washy results. If you're not committed to yourself. This whole series is about getting in touch with you, getting in touch to knowing that you are valuable of these 15 minutes. You're way more valuable than 15 minutes. You're way more valuable than $1 billion. But 15 minutes, it's hardest for even the healthiest people sometimes to kind of take that and say, no, this is for me. So today's 15 minutes is kind of an assessment of where your general feeling is. If you're leaning on the negative, self-loathing, self-pity, and maybe it's not even your whole life. Maybe it's just in areas like maybe it's dating, or maybe it's work, or maybe it's just, life's hard because the pandemic for some people, and it's wonderful for others, which is partially, obviously, there's a lot going on in the world, and everybody starts at different levels. So we're not saying that that's not true. But your mindset and the way you interact with the world has a big load of difference for everybody. And that's why I do what I do. It's to give you, wherever you're starting from, if you're in the shark tank of like shitty feelings, or actually you're pretty okay, but you want to change your life for the better, you want to have more confidence, and you love yourself, but you don't know what that looks like, or you are just feeling like you want to improve in a different area. This is where all this is. It's changing your life is literally your whole life. And you do it by one thought at a time. And I kind of lost my train of thought. No irony there. So the funny part about I guess it's not funny. It's you get what you focus on. And things beget things. So the more love you have for yourself, the more love you can give to others. The more things that you have internally to share, whether it's abundance mindset or financial mindset of abundance, your energy of love that's abundant. But if you don't feel that that's there, it's really hard to give that out. It's really hard. It's not impossible, because that's the practice work of all of this, is that you give to yourself, and then it's almost like exercise, which is very funny because I'm not a big fan, but I do enjoy it when I'm doing it once it's done. But you do get more energy from expending energy. It's physics. And sometimes when you're at rest, your body wants to stay at rest. And when your body's in motion, it wants to stay in motion. And then we're always ebbing and flowing in all these different arenas. So how do we get out of that self-loathing practice? Is that we start moving our energy over to self-loving, which, as simple as it sounds, is this 15 minutes. 15 minutes of focusing on something you want to do in the morning that is just for you, whether it's exercise, whether it's reading a book, whether it's listening to Abraham Hicks or Amanda Francis or me, or anything that is not don't go watch the news in the morning. Don't go on your email. I'm saying this with love. I mean, obviously you may have to do certain things if you have a boss, but if you're like in the morning on the toilet, wherever you are, and just taking your time, you don't need to focus on the negative right away. You already have spinning thoughts, most likely, that is just like stuff that you want to move away from. So we're just using these 15 minutes to refocus. So if you want more self-love, you actually have to respect and give yourself the time and the priority. And you're not being selfish by doing that. You can't give to others ever without resentment or frustration if you don't give to yourself first. That's like if you didn't go to the bathroom first, or if you didn't have your cup of coffee or tea or have breakfast first. You cannot, I don't know, unless you're on intermittent fasting, you're probably a little cranky if you're not taking care of yourself. And that yourself could be your mind, body, and spirit. Because for those who have a spirit, everybody has a spirit, but you don't have to believe that in order to know that the essence of who you are is more than all of this, and that you get to decide to move away from the self-loathing, the negative thoughts about life or experiences or your parents or your past. It doesn't mean you're not going to occasionally pop into those things, because they still need to work out and process if you haven't done that. But it doesn't mean you have to spend 20 years in therapy, because really that does not serve you. What does serve you is moving the focus, giving yourself the things that you think are missing. Give yourself love, attention. You are enough. You are good enough. You matter enough to get up out of bed. And if you can't do it for yourself yet, do it for your kids or your loved ones or somebody that you haven't met in the future, or your animals, or maybe the people that you're supposed to meet outside that door today. So that's my little PSA. My, whatever you want to call it, is that day 29 is that you get what you focus on. And we've talked about this earlier, but this is really, I'm trying to drive it home right before the end, is that by shifting your focus to some things that make you feel good, even if you have a hard time feeling good about yourself yet, because it took me a long time. I mean, the first flip was 2013, but I still had like a couple years of like, oh, I had to interact with other people and say, oh, well, that wasn't good. I needed to set a boundary with that one. Or, oh, that person didn't like me and that felt shitty and da da da. Like, all these things are normal. Like, I just want to normalize all this for you. Feeling shitty during a pandemic, normal. Feeling good in a pandemic can be your normal. Whatever you want to be your normal can be your normal, but you have to focus shifting that dynamic of your thoughts so you can create what you want. All right. I will see you tomorrow. Happy day 29. Peace.